There's a saying among pilgrims that once you've been on your first pilgrimage, you're always between pilgrimages. And people do tend to go back to find that community again that you can't find anywhere else.
During the past decade, George Greenia, professor of modern languages and literatures at the College of William & Mary, has traveled more than 4,000 miles on bicycle and on foot along the medieval pilgrimage trail known as the Camino de Santiago. We asked George, why the fascination with this trek?
The pilgrimage, which was such a big feature of the Middle Ages and sent millions of people into motion across the landscape as they sought a chance to touch the transcendent, either at nearby shrines or at distant holy places, has found a resurgence in the late 20th and early 21st century. Millions of people are in movement again. There's 250,000 people who travel part or all of the Camino de Santiago in Spain every year. 250,000 people. That's built up in just the last 15 years. 15 years ago, probably only 10 or 20,000. The vast increase of numbers must be responding to some need that people feel. And it's that modern explosion of interest in pilgrimage for Western Europeans and Americans that is really distinctive. And that's an international phenomenon that's worth investigating as researchers and as fellow citizens of a modern society.
What might one experience along the pilgrimage trail?
There are unique moments that every person finds when you're walking at twilight or at dawn, when you're surrounded by mist, when you're walking through a forest that's oddly silent, when you have chance encounters with other pilgrims or with the tokens that other pilgrims have left behind, their handprints, the stones they have stacked on monuments or wayside markers, just to leave a message that they've been there, that this is the right path to take. The small acts of charity and kindness that you somehow don't deserve, those are all transcendent moments. And I think one of the most transcendent features for people from the United States who go on pilgrimage is that there are times when we become the conspicuous objects of charity. We're used to going on service trips to Appalachia, to New Orleans, to Honduras, to the Dominican Republic, and we are the givers of charity. But when you're on pilgrimage, people notice who you are because of your dress, because of where you're walking, and people invite you into their homes. They give you food and drink. They offer you shelter, shade, rest. Sometimes they take care of your feet in blisters, or they're offered to wash some of your clothes. They prepare you a meal. They want you to pick the best cherries from their orchard. We become the conspicuous targets of other people's charity. And I think especially for Americans who go abroad, that inverts categories in a radical way. And that can be transformative.
We know there are physical preparations. How does one prepare emotionally for the walk?
I think it's something that it's hard to anticipate what's going to happen to you spiritually when you're traveling on a pilgrimage. We have very few things to compare it to here in the United States to go on pilgrimage, to experience a prolonged sense of being in conversation, not just with others, but with yourself. It's the quiet that students may be enjoying for the first time in their lives, to develop a taste for solitude, a taste for silence. Those things are hard to anticipate, but they do reveal themselves along the way.
What is special to you about walking the pilgrimage with William & Mary students?
The experience with students is fresh every year, and getting to share things with them, to be their guide, to be their fellow pilgrim, to no longer be their teacher but their friend. There's a certain attractiveness there, just in that aspect. We return to our roles here on campus. I'm teacher again, they're student again. But we've acquired friendships with students on the Camino that have turned into life friendships, and that is valuable. That's the best of an undergraduate education, actually, that you share something so profound that it carries us both past graduation.